What's up, hobby friends? My name is Brent and welcome to another miniature rescue. So the problem with this orc right here is that he ain't got no paint on him. And in this video, we're gonna fix him right up. So my buddy Casey has challenged me to a 1-hour speed paint contest. We're gonna set the clock and we're gonna get right to it. Hey, this isn't too bad. Not too bad at all. I can't wait to give this to Casey and see if he likes it.
My gift to you.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Yeah. Hey, since you're over there, do you think you can hit the button on the Sonic Cleaner? I kind of want to paint some models.
In all seriousness, I've wanted an excuse to paint up this Knightmare miniature for a while. And my good friend Brent thought it would be a really nice gift to basically give me a rescue project to kick off Orktober for this year. What a pal. The funny thing is, the paint job that he did in 1 hour isn't bad at all. It's actually got some really fun things going on, and I want to carry some of that over into my own paint job. Still, the paint does need to come off before we can get to work.
So now that I've stripped the board down to bare metal again, I want to do a couple of things to make this one a little bit more special. I really like this orc, I want it to fit into my Iron Jaws army, and I wouldn't mind having one of those, the larger, big boss gore grunta fellas. And even though this guy's smaller, technically, I don't have one of those bigger models. So my thinking was I'll take a base that's the proper size. I looked it up, it's 120 millimeters, which is pretty huge. And we're going to build something up, some kind of basic terrain, some rocks, something like a little hillside for him to climb on top of and just look a little bit more imposing. And I thought that would be pretty fun. So why don't we do that real quick and then we'll get to painting everything.
Before that though, let me tell you about today's excellent sponsor.
This video has been sponsored by Displate. When I look at my hobby space, I'm generally pretty happy with the way it looks, but there are some walls that I don't even dare point a camera at. Displate is here to help though, and I can't wait to get this space looking the best it can. Displate is a unique metal poster designed to capture all of your passions. There are over 2 million artworks available in the Displate catalog. Discover new, original art from the likes of Star Wars and Marvel and Elden Ring and Warhammer, and many other iconic brands and franchises. It's really fun to just dive in, explore, and find something that suits your style. One of the things I really like is the magnet mounting system, and it makes setting up a space really easy as well. It's tool-free, safe for your walls, and super quick. Each Displate has a magnet kit, so everything you need comes in the box. No drilling, no holes, no frustrations like that. Mounting is quick too. Clean the wall, peel and stick, and you're good to go. Displate is launching a new product line called Displate Textra and pushing the boundaries of what metal posters can actually be. From now on, premium print finishes will be available without limitations in a vast selection of pop culture metal posters called Displate Textra. Tactile textures, 3D contours, selective matte and gloss effects, also now available in larger sizes, which is pretty cool. This option is for a limited amount of designs, but Displate is constantly increasing the number of those designs. And speaking of which, Displate celebrates Warhammer Day, which I didn't know was a thing. That's really cool. With new metal posters. First up, this really awesome 3-piece set featuring Titus and his Ultramarine squad mowing through Tyranid hordes. This is official Space Marine 2 art on metal, and it looks incredible, especially in the large texture version. You can see all the bits of texture and 3D dimension to it. There's plenty more where it came from, because Displate has a full collection of Space Marine 2 art, as well as other timeless Warhammer classics. And now, they've also launched this limited time Warhammer exclusive drop. It's available only until October 20th, so if you want to hang it on your wall, you better hurry. All of the metal posters from Displate are printed in the EU, but what's great is that they offer very fast delivery in 4 or 5 business days, so you don't really have to worry about it. Check out the link in the description and pinned comment below and use my code to get 27% off of 1 to 2 or 33% off of 3 or more. Thanks again Displate for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to painting old minis. Now I'm pretty sure that I have a 120mm base around here somewhere. So I'm going to go through a couple boxes and I'm going to see what I've got. Might as well take the opportunity to find some basing bits too. I just have a whole bunch of them in here and I think they'll probably work for that base. Aha! I found it. We're getting some basing materials and I found this. This has proper base. And we'll worry about this one later. Okay, so I got a bunch of the basing materials set out. I got the orc attached to the little holder so that it makes it a little bit easier to paint. He's not going to be riding the boar, which I want to paint fully. I also gathered up this little jar of basing bits. Now, a lot of this is 3D printed. There's some ferns. There's a lot of little rubble structures that I want to put on the base. Right now, there's just cork and kind of that's it. The other things that I pulled out didn't really work as well. So I'm going to place these around and see kind of how that looks. And then we're going to fill it in with sand. Most of this is just basic rubble that was printed out, and I think I'll probably just go with this, make it a little bit dry. I need it to match for the most part with the other iron jaws that I have, so I don't want to go too far out of the norm and do a bunch of weird stuff to it.
To secure the sand, I'm using some slightly watered down PVA. Being watered down allows it to stay on the base while also being thin enough to make its way into all the sand and really lock that into place when it dries. I like to prime the base as well to make absolutely sure that the sand and rocks won't move around when you're handling it. But as long as you get good coverage on the glue and the sand all dries, then you're really not going to have too much of an issue. You can just paint right over the top of it. At this point, I might as well prime the model too and just get ready for paint. Let's start by getting out the airbrush and getting some base coats on the Mini. The boar is going to be pretty simple. I want to have some dark brown and light brown fur with some peachy flesh tone mixed in near the snout. A quick airbrush workup on that and it's looking pretty nice. Finishing this off with a brush later should be quick work. Next up, the skin for our Ork Warboss. I'm using a darker yellow-green as a base coat and I'm going to bring in some dark purple as a shadow. I want to give some definition to the face in particular, and I'll use a brush to go over almost all of this and really bring out those features. For the shield, I mainly want to make sure that the sun gets a nice transition. Some yellow and orangey brown will look pretty nice, and I can take care of the actual round shield later on. Now we can get down to brush painting and really start to get those details filled in. Next up, the skin on the Ork Warboss. I'm using a darker yellow-green as a base coat, and I'm going to bring in some dark purple shadows. I want to give some definition to the face in particular, and I'll use a brush to go over almost all of this and really bring out those features. Starting right in on the skin, I'm going to start layering up the green-yellow over the muscles, leaving all the recesses at original base green and purple shadow. To push those shadows even more and get the detail on the face to really stand out, I'll come in with some magenta thinned down over the top. Some of this gets thinned down into a glaze and it just adds a bit of color to those cracks in the skin. I'm also going to use this for the mouth and the eyes for now. Next up, I want to start bringing in that red that Brent had put down on all of the armor. The belt buckle is this smiling sun, kind of like the shield, so I'm going to get a nice coat of bright red on it for now. I want to do a little bit more work on this, but for now I'm going to leave it and we're going to try something else for a minute. The shoulders are going to get this weird base coat, and this is something I've wanted to try for a while, but a kind of light blue teal as a base coat presents some interesting ways to go in terms of getting red pauldrons. Mixing some red into that blue gives us a nice dark purple, so that will technically be the best base coat. but I'm going to leave some of that blue poking out in a few places. That way we get some variety and some nice color interaction underneath that red. Slowly working my way up to the same bright red, I can control the values on the highlights and shadows with the blue, which makes it kind of fun. This nice back and forth and balance. Highlighting with some yellow over the reds, and we get orange and yellow hot spots with cool blue and purple shadows. Like I said, I've wanted to try this for a while, and I finally found the perfect model to test this out with, and I really like the results. I think that I'll be pushing with this color theory idea a little bit more in the future. It's really fun, and it just has a really interesting, unique look in the end. I take my time going over the model and pick out all of the armor and do the same workup using that light blue to mix in as a base. It has a pretty big effect on the overall look of the model. Not one that I was expecting either, but man, I really do like the way that this looks. The only metallic paint I decided to use was gold, and now is probably a good time to talk about the paint I've been using for this project. Everything is from the new P3 line of paints, the one on Kickstarter. They sent me 19 of the new paints to test out, and I've really been enjoying the blend that they have. All in all, the new P3 is extremely versatile. Thicker base coats go down nice and smooth, thinning them out and blending is nice and creamy, and going even further with glazes, they still hold up and do the job that they're supposed to do. That's also what prompted a lot of decisions on this model. I don't have the whole line of paint that they offer, just 19 of their colors, and that includes black, white, and metallic, so more like 13 colors in total, but certainly enough to have some fun. So definitely worth checking out if that's something that you're interested in. To finish off the gold, I bring back some of that blue to tint the gold just a little bit. Just give it a little more color and incorporate it into the model a bit more. Some dark brown for the leather mixed in with some tan, flesh tone, yellow, and red to get that orangey brown color for the highlight. A little stippling, some scratches, and the leather looks pretty good. At this point, there are only a few things left to do. The cloak gets a nice wet blend with dark brown, black, and light brown. Nothing too fancy, but doing that wet blending will make it look nicer than just brown with a dark wash. So keep that in mind the next time you're doing some fur. The last major step will be the sword. This Ork Warboss has an epic blade, and it deserves some attention. What I'm after, now that the rest of the model has really shown up as a bright bit of fun, will be some sweet checkers across the entire sword. No metallics, just huge checkers that everyone will be able to see from across the room when this guy's on the table. Yeah. The first thing will be just to quickly get those checkers in white, do a little bit of black weathering, kind of chip those up a little bit, and then bring in some yellow ink or speed paint to tint those properly. After some back and forth with yellow and orange, we have a very proper blade for this orc. Just a few more things and this guy will be ready to ride. The board needs some minor details, a little fur filled in, some eyes, goofy red eyes I think, and everything gets put together and placed on the new base. The base was dusted with some orange and red pigment powder right over the black, and I painted in the stones a grayish green. Something dark, but that would still contrast with the red nicely and fit in with the green skin. I really like this model. It's properly orky with his ridiculous face, a huge sword, perfect for getting in some sweet freehand, and a mount that could carry a king. This project almost didn't happen, but my buddy Brent has been visiting for the last couple of weeks and we've been getting some serious work done. Some of it I can't exactly talk about just yet, and other stuff that you may have picked up on during this video. Either way, he convinced me to work on this model. He helped me get it there, and I'm pretty grateful for that because I don't know that I would have actually gotten it out, taken the time, and painted it, even though I technically wanted to. So thank you. And thank you for joining me on another miniature rescue. If you liked something about this video, please consider hitting that like button, sharing this video with your hobby friends, and subscribing for more miniature rescues. I'm Casey, and I will see you in the next video. And of course, here is the Knightmare Miniatures Ork Warboss. Thanks again and happy Orktober.